Hi, Beth.
Hi.
Really glad that you could take the time to come in and meet with me. I appreciate that. And I wanted to talk with you following last week's when we had our check-in meeting and we were looking at your KPIs. We had set for the year, and some are incremental, so that we ultimately reach that end goal. And that was a good meeting. And you had 5 key indicators, and 4 of them you met your goal and exceeded some of them. And so that was great and encouraging. But there's one particular indicator that you hadn't even touched it, and the answer was 0. And so that part was around the evaluation for 8 volunteers, performance valuation. And we want you to be able to do 8 per month, and it's part of our volunteer management program. And I was just wondering, is there an explanation why that didn't happen?
I guess I've just been really busy, especially the past few months, and I really prioritized the staff evaluations. They're just volunteers, so I kind of wanted to pick what was more important.
And I can appreciate there are lots of things that we have to prioritize. But when you say just a volunteer, I just want to remind you of Ruth. Do you remember how Ruth came in and created this fabulous database for us? We were trying to do that special event, and everyone sort of had it on the corner of their desk, and no one could really come around to getting it all together. And ultimately, Ruth created that database. And so what do you think about that result? You had a chance to use the database. Well, did you see the value in what Ruth had done for us?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I guess I didn't really think about that. I guess it's those little things. I mean, I've used the database. I know it's really added to the organization. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I wouldn't have even thought about that. That is really valuable.
And I know some days, we all think, well, we can let that go, but we don't pay them. And they give us a gift of their time. And so it's a good point that you mentioned that you've benefited from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a part of what we want to do the performance evaluations for is we want them to feel valued, and we want to retain them. And some people come and go, and some stay for a long time, and some just do something specific. So that is why we want to do the performance evaluation. So people like Ruth, who really make a contribution to the work that we all do, feels valued. And we can work with them and also help them. Perhaps there's some growth that they're looking for, some development, and they can learn those skills from us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what would you like to see over the next 4 weeks? Because that's when we're going to have our next check-in meeting. So what result do you feel that would be reasonable that you could do?
I guess I feel like I'll definitely be able to schedule 2 appointments per week. I'll go through the volunteer list, and I'll choose 2 at least per week, because that'll help me reach my month target.
Is there anything that, do you need any help with that? Is there any assistance, myself or perhaps another colleague can help you so that you can do that?
Actually, it's been quite a while since I've done these volunteer evaluations and used the tools, so maybe if you have someone look over the tools itself, I just want to make sure that they're up to date.
Okay, so what I can do is Ruth Ann has been in this position that you're in now. She's been there, and she did several of the volunteer interviews. That was part of her job. And although she's not doing it now, she would have had those tools, and she may have updated some. So how about what I'll do is I'll get a hold of Ruth Ann and set up a meeting that the 2 of you can meet, and you can take what tools you have in those files that you haven't used for a bit and go over them with Ruth Ann, and perhaps she can give you some tips, and you can have your tool ready.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd really appreciate that.
So let's say we'll do that within, as soon as we're done, actually, I'll send a message to her and ask the 2 of you to connect.
Perfect.
And then in the next couple of days that you arrange, set a time that you can go through the tool. So then you can start to be ready to do your performance evaluations.
Awesome.
Okay, so other than that, is there anything else time-wise, scheduling? You're set. You really just want us to review those tools with you, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, I think so. And you made a really good point. Volunteers are super valuable, and I am going to work on prioritizing volunteer attention.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. And at the end of the day, you know, when we have Volunteer Appreciation Month, and you'll have some of your same volunteers because they do feel valued.
Absolutely.
And so that's great. I'm glad that we could have this talking, and you were fine to be coached, and we'll just move forward. But, you know, in the meantime, between now and our next check-in meeting, if there's any concerns or anything that comes up that you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to meet my goal or whatever, you know, just send me a message or give me a call, and we can sit down and go over that if there's any stumbling blocks that come along the way.
That's great.
Well, I'm glad that you came by today, Beth.
Awesome.
You enjoy the rest of the day.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.